Welcome to Smart Business Show for July 20th, 2018. Today we're going to talk about the fact that bad clients happen. They happen to me still even. I'm actually not a bad client. I'm dealing with a client who's like, oh, this thing is 3 pixels off, and I'm adjusting it to 3 pixels, and then sometimes I'm adjusting it 3 pixels back the other way. So, and I'm still, working on closing that down and changing even the thought process behind it, because they're doing the same old thing, checking every little device and saying, oh, this device has it this way, and this device has it that way. And I'm always like, I know. But when you change it 6 pixels and you want something else, and the screen sizes are different, things will move slightly. So we all have that. The thing is, each time this happens, it's really my fault or it's your fault. There's no one else's fault. You're the one who said yes to the client. I understand. Sometimes you're going to say yes to clients that you may not, because you know what? You just got to have revenue sometimes. That's the fact. You have to have revenue sometimes. So if that's the case, you thought it was a bad client and you just have to have revenue, don't worry about it. You can maybe not listen to the rest of this, because you have to have revenue for this one. So that's fine. Now maybe you're going to step back and say, what's the problem? Why do I have to have revenue? Why did I have to say yes to this bad client? That's a problem you need to fix. So some of the things that do happen to a lot of people, though, is that they rush through proposals, or they let clients short circuit their client vetting process. So my client vetting process goes like this. I ask people 9 questions, a whole bunch of stuff around why the project is happening, who the buyers are, what's the purpose, what's the value. Then if I like those questions, if we're able to come to some basic agreement around the project's going to be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range or whatever, then we move into the next phase, which is I get on the phone or a video call, right? Clearly not the phone, but I get on a video call with them and we talk about the project more. We talk about a whole bunch of different stuff in the project. And one of the big questions that I ask myself at the end of that is, did I laugh at the client? If I didn't laugh at the client, then, or at the prospect, I'm doing it, I need to say at the prospect, they're not a client until they paid you. Even if they had been a client before, they are only a prospect again until they paid you. So once I get back on the phone with them, once I get off it, I want to make sure that I have laughed with them. If I haven't laughed with them, then it's not someone that I want to engage with, because I want my clients to enjoy me, and I want to enjoy them. So when you finish that bad project, the only thing you need to ask yourself really is, what did I learn from this? What part am I going to add to my client vetting process? How am I going to change how I do things? Here's a few things that I've learned, right? And I already talked a little bit about them. One is never jump through the parts of the client vetting process. Establish what they are for you and stick to them. 2 is always talk to new clients and older clients returning on the phone. Get on the phone with them. If you haven't talked to them in like a couple months, then get back on the phone with them. This is good even just to maintain that relationship, to maintain that personal connection. So always work as a team on the proposal. I take all my proposals into Google Docs and we do work together there. I wrote about that whole process in my book called Writing Proposals That Win Work. I talked about my email client vetting process too in my book, Effective Client Email, as well. Talk about the value that project brings and make sure they are talking about value as well. That's one of the client vetting tips that I have, because if they're just looking at it as an expense, then it's just they're not going to spend much on it because it's an expense. Value is something that's going to increase their business, and expense just takes away from it. And then at the end of every project, make sure you recap with yourself and see how you could have made the whole thing go smoother. It's a basic after action review. After action review, you talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and what are you going to do about it. That last question is where you should spend more than 50% of your time. What are you going to do about the things that did not go well? I actually find it helpful to write them down in my notebook. I picked one up, but I actually have little stuff stuck all over them right now, so I can't. I write that down in my notebook, and I just to help me brainstorm, help me think about it. I'll often do that on a Friday, the next Friday after I finish a project. So that's it. Don't jump through your client vetting process. Make sure that you have a client vetting process. And I have a whole series of those on my site, and of those posts on client vetting. And make sure you do an after-action review with yourself so that you know what went well, what didn't go well, and most importantly, what are you going to do about it? Stop blaming bad clients on anyone else. You are the one who said yes to them. So if you want good clients, stop saying yes to the bad ones.